Ah! Woo! That's what I'm talking about right there. Oh my goodness. Hey guys, Joey Cifuentes here. Let me give you a little scenario. It's May, going into June, fish are post-spawn, you're in a lake that's got a lot of timber. Where do you find bass? What are some good techniques? Where are these fish located? What are they feeding on? We're gonna go over 3 different techniques, different areas of the water column for that time of year, how to locate and how to find these bass. So first thing is, a lot of these fish coming off a spawn, they like to move out towards points. They like to sit in, I like to fish around timber areas. A lot of these lakes in kind of the high reservoir areas here in Arkansas and in the central United States, we have a lot of flooded timber that's down deep in 60, 70 foot of water. It comes up to maybe the tops of those trees are sitting in 20. Well, what you're gonna see is a lot of these fish are gonna suspend maybe off these points, sit in the timber, and they're just gonna maybe sit out there. They're gonna find a good spot that, based on the water temperature and how it's starting to warm and the weather and everything, but they're going to sit out there and they're going to look for bass. They're going to hang around those trees, or look for bass. That was stupid. What they're going to do is they're going to sit around there looking for bait fish, feeding on brim, a place where they can go up quick and go get on a point, or go up shallow and feed on bluegill and stuff like that, and they can move out deep, suspend, get comfortable. So 3 techniques. First off is I'm going to start at the top of the water column. Okay, so say it's first thing in the morning, you're fishing a tournament, and you're wanting to pick the first bait you're going to want to throw. And this is the one I'm going to throw. And this is a walking bait right here. Right here, this is a Berkeley Jaywalker. Very simple walking bait. You're gonna throw this bait. You're gonna run it side to side. I like to vary my speed on it, but not really important right now. What you want to do is start out off the ends of these points, because not only do you have brush piles, you're gonna have timber that comes up, like I said, maybe big cedar trees. Those fish are gonna be up high in the water column early in the morning. So fire some long casts with the top water. You know, obviously this is gonna work in certain sections of the United States where you have the herring and stuff like that. Those bait fish will be out there spawning on top of these points. I like to start off the end and then I'll go work up shallow to those. I feel like a lot of big fish do live kind of right there on the outside edge of that point and where it breaks off. We're talking shallow fishing too, like anywhere from 3 foot out to 15 foot. You know, we're not really getting into heavy summertime where the water's hot. We're still in that transition where it's cool a little bit. So I'm not talking about fishing deep, but I'm talking about shallower timber up around these points and stumps and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with this top water right off the end, and that 10 foot, I'm going to work up shallow and I'm going to fish that point up really shallow and try and get some bites with the top water. Okay. I will say, as the day progresses, depending on your weather, if it's sunny, you know, this bite's gonna probably go away. You can see some schooling, but this is really good with your conditions being a little cloudy and first thing in the morning, or if you're fishing an evening tournament in the evening right before dark. That's really, really cool. Okay, so actually I'm not gonna go to this. I'm gonna go to this worm right here. This is a power worm. This is a 10-inch power worm. This is the red bug color, really good color that I like to throw in our lakes in the Ozarks. But what I like to do with this worm, okay, obviously we're going to be Texas rigging this worm. This is, you know, everybody's heard of a Texas rig, very simple. You've got a bullet weight on top. I like to peg it, and you're going to hook this worm weedless. You're going to Texas rig it on there weedless. So what I'm looking at now is, okay, so that morning topwater bite's done. Maybe some of those fish are going to start to move out off the bank a little bit and go sit in some of that shallower timber. Not really good timber. Maybe it's thick cedars or whatever, or bushes. or some heavy timber that you can't really scope, use your live scope out of really good and really pick those fish apart. So I'm gonna fire up in those really thick areas where I think there might be a big one hanging out. I'm gonna throw a Texas rig worm. This is excellent. I use this technique even further into the summertime, out on really deep trees that are way off the bank out there. The tops come up to 30 foot, and the fish like to sit in the tops. A lot of times I'll throw this worm out there and I'll work it through the tops of those limbs. But this is going to be kind of my next bait. The Texas rig worm, fishing in that little bit, that thick timber that's just right off the bank, in that 5 to 10 foot maybe range. Okay, you can catch a giant fish in that. All right, so the next bait I want to go to is a minnow, of course. This bait's really been taking everything by storm, and it's such an effective bait. It matches a minnow. Of course, we have the live scope and the forward-facing sonar, so you can see the fish a lot of times. When these fish really start to move out, this is kind of later in the day when I'm really needing to maybe get some bites. Maybe I got, I think the big ones you're going to catch first thing on that top water, and you're going to catch them on the worm. But maybe up in the day, maybe you only got 4 keepers and you need 1 more keeper in the boat. This is a great way to fill your limit. Of course, you can catch a big one on this, but this is just a simple minnow bait, kind of translucent, looks shady. And I've got this on a jig head right here that I pour myself. Very simple. Use a O'Shaughnessy bend jig head on that. And it's nothing perfect, but it doesn't take a lot. What I do on this minnow, just a real quick tip, is I like to tie a loop knot onto this jig head right here, and that's going to create whenever you're shaking the minnow, it's going to create an oscillation action like this, and it's just going to give it more action. So but what I want to tell you technique wise with this bait is, when you're looking for the fish off suspended in this little bit deeper timber, there's a few really important things you want to note. The way you present your bait to these fish. This is what I like to do is use light jig heads. If the fish are suspended maybe 10 or 15 feet, like this is a really good size right here. This is roughly like a 3/16 ounce size, and it's kind of light, but you can make a bait look more natural, and that's so important to me when I'm throwing a minnow. So and obviously if they go deeper, then you can increase your jig head size. But if this time of year specifically, I'm using fairly light heads, because those fish may, if it's clear water conditions too, they may see that bait hit the water up there and shoot up to it and eat it. You want it to make it look, you don't want it falling fast, is what I'm saying. So keep it natural, keep it light, and when you see those fish, try to surprise them with your bait. Be really subtle with this thing. Try and keep the bait above the fish's head, really important. Maybe do a little tease with them while you're watching live scope. It's just a great way to fill your limit, and that's the other technique I'm going to use. So if it's April, June, and you're looking for 3 baits that you want to fish with, and very, very effective for that time of year. Here is top water, walking bait. You've got the worm, and you've got of course you got the minnow. You can catch a big bag that time of year doing this right here. And I just dropped the top water, but those are great, great techniques.